The cancelled vows. The wedding preparations were in full swing. The grand ballroom was adorned with exquisite floral arrangements, the caterers were busy finalizing the menu, the best man was ready with the best moves, and the guests were all seated eagerly looking at the entrance to catch a glimpse of the most beautiful woman to the date, and the orchestra was tuning their instruments. Amidst the flurry of activity, Makena, the radiant bride-to-be, was caught in a whirlwind of emotions. She was excited, nervous, and, unbeknownst to many, terrified. On the surface, her life seemed perfect, and was envied by many women who didn't know what lay behind the seeming gentleman they all saw. She was engaged to Mr. Kai, a charming and successful businessman who had recently returned from abroad. He exuded an aura of sophistication and wealth, captivating everyone he met. He was known as the most eligible bachelor in town. Many women threw themselves at him, but he seemed unfazed by their lustrous behavior, of which, to him, he claimed to have been used to women falling for his charm even though he never intended them to. However, beneath the polished exterior, a darker truth lurked. Rumors swirled around Mr. Kai, whispers of a mysterious past of a wife and a child who had vanished without a trace. Some said she had met a tragic end, and he had used his power and influence to cover it all from being exposed, while others claimed she had escaped his abusive clutches. These whispers had initially been dismissed by Makena as unfounded gossip. However, as she delved deeper into her relationship with Mr. Kai, she began to notice disturbing patterns in his behavior. He seemed to want to control her relationships, even her connection to her family was limited, especially when visiting them. He claimed it was a way of her getting used to not being around them after marriage. She was forced to cut short all her male friends and partners' communications, and his excuse was that he would provide everything she would need after their marriage. He also tended to jokingly tell her that she shouldn't dare to have a baby girl for him, else they would all meet their end, which she found unsettling, and when she asked why he always joked about it, he jokingly said boys are more sensible and only they should be born, which she failed to understand, and she became more uneasy. A series of anonymous text messages added to her growing unease. The messages warned her to stay away from Mr. Kai, claiming he was not the man he portrayed himself to be. At first, she dismissed them as the work of a jealous rival or a prankster. However, as the messages persisted, she couldn't ignore the chilling implications, but she didn't have a way of connecting with the anonymous texter to tell her more. Hence, she continued with the wedding arrangements as planned. The night before the wedding, Makena received a phone call that would change the course of her life forever. The caller claimed to be Mr. Kai's ex-wife, a woman who had narrowly escaped his wrath. She recounted a harrowing tale of domestic abuse, of a man consumed by a desire for control and power. She revealed that Mr. Kai had been obsessed with having a son and had resorted to violence when she failed to bear him a male child. She told the caller how he always joked about how he would end her life if she ever delivered a baby girl for her, and to make matters worse, the caller told him it wasn't a joke and that if she ever did he would truly end her. To escape his clutches, she had been forced to flee the country with the help of her rich family's background connections, change her identity, and undergo plastic surgery just to make herself untraceable. She also had to make her daughter homeschooled to avoid using her school to track her. Even then, she lived in fear, knowing that Mr. Kai was still searching for her, and with his power, he could easily trace her. That is why she completely cut off connections with her family, knowing too well that he had planted spies in her home, and that was how she managed to survive. The caller shared a chilling piece of evidence, CCTV footage that had once captured Mr. Kai's violent outburst. Horrified by what she had seen, Makena confronted Mr. Kai. He admitted to the truth, revealing his dark side and his relentless pursuit of power. He had manipulated her, played on her emotions, and almost trapped her in a life of fear and suffering. To prevent her from cancelling the wedding, he locked her in her room and confiscated her communication devices after beating her up. In a desperate attempt to protect herself, and after calming down, she knew she could never escape. She then remembered words her brother Wima once told her. Sister, you know I'll never be always around to protect you, but if you're even in danger, press the button of this necklace, it's connected to calling me just like a phone. Makena activated the hidden emergency feature on her necklace, alerting her brother late at night. All her brother could hear was her cries and her calling out to him for help. She was his only sister, and hearing her in so much pain broke his heart even more. He woke up running to the garage, even in his pajamas, because of how much he was worried. He could hear his wife calling out to him, but his mind was all on his little innocent sister's cries. He drove there like a madman, even breaking all road rules, but when he reached there, the gates were locked and the security guards denied him entrance. They said they didn't know what happened inside, and that they heard their boss yelling and their kind-hearted female boss screaming, but their boss had told them to be alert and no one should be allowed in the house, especially that night. They argued for a long time, and Wima's frustration reached its peak. He called the police, who forced their entry into the house. With the help of the police, Makena was able to be saved from Mr. Kai's clutches. She was in a very painful state, which she seemed to be holding on until she saw her brother and fainted. And Mr. Kai, after seeing the police, he ran away like the coward he was, but he wasn't able to escape the police for long before they saw a stillhouse running in the dark and caught up with him. Wima spent the whole night comforting Makena because she was so scared and traumatized. After sending her to the hospital, he was forced to sit beside her because after a little nap, she would wake up screaming. He didn't even remember to call his wife or parents because he didn't even take the phone with him while taking his sister to hospital out of panic and anxiety. It wasn't until the next day he remembered his wife anxiously calling out for him while he was running to save his sister. He borrowed a phone from the reception and called her to come to the hospital. He recounted everything from the anonymous text, to the call and to Mr. Kai escaping. He then asked her to watch over her while he went to the wedding venue. When he reached there, he found everyone panicked and the air around seemed to grow thicker with tension. His parents, seeing how tired he looked, had to wait until he finished what he came to do before asking him anything. They knew her son too well and knew something very serious must have happened to put him in that state. When he stood at the venue, he shed tears recounting what his sister went through and why there wouldn't be any wedding. He kept blaming himself for not doing his research on the man his only sister was meant to marry, but swore to make him pay with everything he owned. He made sure to pay all the people who were hired, but most of them refused the payment. Everyone was shedding tears in pity of the Makena. Even the food cooked couldn't be eaten because of the pitiful situation. Makena's mom fainted in shock and had to be rushed to the hospital too. The whole wedding was in chaos. The wedding, which was supposed to be a celebration of love and commitment, turned into a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface. Makena's story became a cautionary tale, a reminder that appearances can be deceiving and that true love is built on trust, respect, and honesty. But not on wealth and material possessions. With the Wima family's power and Mr. Kai's ex-family power, they joined forces to make sure Mr. Kai would never escape prison. And that's how the ex-wife was able to return to the country and walk freely. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the story. If you have, please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more stories like this.